Hey guys, I'm here doing another Q&A. I asked you all on Instagram specific questions you have for me that are astrology related for me to answer, and I picked 5 questions and then 1 bonus question at the end as well. Some of these might be more advanced, some of them might be a little specific, some of them might be questions everyone wants to know. So here they are. So the first question is from Universal Entity, and this is, what do empty houses mean? So pretty much everyone in their chart is going to have at least 1 or 2 houses that are empty, meaning they don't have any planets in that house. And some people have a lot of empty houses. So like, for example, for me, all of my planets are in the first 3 houses, except for Chiron and Jupiter are in my 8th house. But other than that, it's only 1, 2, and 3. And all the other houses besides the 8th are empty. So you'll see that a lot. It's not rare or weird or strange. It's pretty normal. So the thing about that is, you still have that house in your chart, which is ruled by whatever the sign that rules it. And a lot of times it can be ruled by 2 signs. You know, like my 11th house is ruled by Virgo and Libra, although I don't have any planets in there. So you still have the influence of those signs with that house, but having an empty house, it's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's that big of a deal, but I'd also say that it's sort of like those topics of those houses aren't the topics that are really crucial to who you are as a person. Like, those are just not focus topics for you. It doesn't mean, like, if you don't have anything, like I don't have anything in the 7th house, it doesn't mean I don't have relationships stuff or relationship issues or important relationships or anything. It just means that that's not, like, I wasn't born having a very strong focus on relationships. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of just, that's not your area of focus. That being said, you know, you could have nothing in the 9th house, but a lot of Sagittarius placements or, you know, energy with Jupiter or with any type of other energy that could kind of give those sort of 9th house type things. So you really just have to look at the chart as a whole, but empty houses aren't anything to worry about, and it's not really a big deal. It just means that's not really like your focus in life or what you need to work on, or, you know, stuff like that. Okay, next question. This is from Underground Vases. How can 12th house suns bust out of the asylum? So as a lot of people know who know a little bit more advanced astrology, the 12th house can be a difficult house. Having your sun there can be difficult. It's not the most difficult 12th house placement, but it can be difficult because you might feel like your personality is drowned out or stifled or somehow hidden. But to look at the positive side, the 12th house can be an exceptionally creative, first of all, creative and artistic. Second of all, psychic. Third of all, selfless. I actually think people who have sun in the 12th house are incredible people. They're very, they're not people whose egos are the #1 thing that you notice, or that it's like they have less of an ego, I think, than other sun placements. You know, like my little sister, for example, she's an Aries sun, but it's in the 12th house, and therefore she is like a very selfless, non-ego driven Aries, I feel. I mean, everyone has an ego, obviously, but you really, anything with the 12th house, you really just have to tap into the good side of it. Use your creativity. You want to bust out of the asylum, like you said, bust out of that asylum with your creativity. Like, make art. Use your creative side. You are an extremely creative person, and you can give yourself to others easily and openly. So don't, second guess yourself. Don't sell yourself short. You don't need to be super assertive and egotistical and out there just to make an impact on people and just to have a cool personality. Like, you can be a little bit more mysterious and selfless, and it's wonderful, and you can do wonderful things when you try to help others, especially. Okay. This question is from Kasumi the Coconut. Are we influenced by our parents' signs? Now, the question she asked was a little more specific and detailed, but more or less, are we influenced by the signs that our parents are? Or let's just say their chart. Totally. I always feel, some people don't like astrology because they're like, well, it's like, it really depends more on like how you were raised and like your parenting and your childhood and all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can find some of that in your chart too, but like totally, it totally depends. The parents that you had, the siblings that you had, the people that you had around you, that's going to affect your personality just in general on like a biological DNA level, but also, like, okay, let me just give an example from myself. I'm an Aquarius with Scorpio moon. I was raised by a Gemini mother with a Taurus moon and a quadruple sequential whatever Pisces, everything father. So, and my sister, who's a Sagittarius with a Gemini moon, had the same parents. So, like, therefore, I think it affects you, like having a Pisces father who, has his issues. We're not going to get into that, but was really, a musician and creative and very like, let me kind of do whatever, and wasn't restrictive, and was just like super sensitive and super sweet and loving as a father. Of course that affected me differently. So, and I think it brought out my creativity and my, it almost like not gave me Pisces qualities, but let me understand Pisces men better in a way and be influenced by a Pisces man. Or, having a Gemini mother who was always very mentally engaging and always very, fun, but also kind of crazy, like that kind of, influenced me, brought up my air sign traits, for my sister who's a Gemini moon. Having a Gemini sun mother brought out the Gemini moon within her. So, it definitely has an effect. You definitely have to look at your parents' charts and see how that affected you. Like, if I was raised with a Capricorn father who was really stern and always was like very restrictive over me, my Capricorn side probably would come out more, and I would probably be more of a Saturn type person rather than a creative type person. You know what I mean? And it just depends, how you relate to your parents as well. Like, if your parents have stuff in common with you in your chart, then you're gonna feel more nurtured as a person. If your parents have nothing in common with you and they don't understand you at all, you're gonna feel more isolated and more like you're not understood. And yes, it's very important to look at your parents' chart, and it does absolutely have effect on you. Like, someone who was born the exact same moment, the exact same time as me, in another country or whatever, but who had a Virgo father and a Libra mother is probably gonna have a different, personality and outlook on things. It's the same thing, like if you're dating, like if you're an Aquarius and you date a Virgo for 10 years, you're gonna feel differently than if you dated an Aries for 10 years. It's just, people have an effect on you, for sure, absolutely, especially your parents or your siblings. Okay, next question. This is from actually my sister. Speaking of my sister, XOXO Britta. How do we prepare for Scorpio season? So yes, everyone knows Scorpio season's coming up. It's going to be a lot of other planets in Scorpio. Actually, right now, Mercury and Venus are both in Scorpio already, so it's already kind of, that Scorpio energy is already coming out. I think it's so fun and great that Halloween time is during Scorpio season. Watch scary movies, get spooked, watch serial killer documentaries, like get deep into that like nitty gritty and that dark side of humanity and that creepiness, and really embrace the fall. Also, you know, especially out here on the West Coast, fall really starts to come around Scorpio season. So you get those fall vibes. You want to wear sweaters, you want to be cozy, you want to be indoors, you want to be snuggled up. It's just definitely a deeper vibe. And you know, the most important thing when you're preparing for different seasons or looking at different seasons is looking at your own chart, how it's going to affect you. If you have a lot of Scorpio in your chart, look at those planets. Like my sister who has Scorpio Venus, Venus is going to be, you know, Venusing. So look at Venus and see what that's going to be like. And, you know, or if you have like no Scorpio and no water, but you have a lot of Leo or Taurus or Aquarius in your chart, Scorpio season might be a little more difficult. So you want to just look at your own chart and see how that's going to be affected by any season that's coming up. Okay, last official question. This is from Sierra Rose MC. How does Mercury retrograde affect communication skills? I think she means being born with Mercury retrograde. So I know a lot of people who have Mercury retrograde in their chart, and this does not make you like slow or mentally deficient in any way. Actually, you can be incredibly smart, but you just think differently than people. You do things differently. Your routines are a little bit different. You go a little out of order of things. You can definitely be a little spacey and forgetful, you know, like losing your keys, or, you know, little like time things you don't really go with time like other people do. And just like little things. And communicate, as far as communication, you probably talk a lot. You probably need to learn how to listen a little bit better, and just communicating in a way that isn't counterproductive, I guess, and just learning, you know, to strengthen your communication skills, because that is one area of your life that you might naturally sort of struggle with as a Mercury retrograde. So just really always brushing up on your communication skills and how you talk to people, relate to people, communicate your thoughts and your feelings, etc. And then here's a bonus question. This is from Lana Volts. Do you think Sagittarius are hard to date? My friend actually told me a while ago that like Sagittarius is like the #1 like least compatible sign with anyone or whatever, but I think Sagittarius are great to date if they're open to being in a committed relationship and if they know what they want. If they're sort of just flowing through it and they just like fell into a relationship and they didn't really mean to, no, they're going to be terrible to date, because they're probably going to bail on you, or they're probably going to change their mind and just like be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to get out of this. Yeah, so just if you're dating a Sagittarius, or if you want to date a Sagittarius, just make sure they know what they're getting into, and make sure you're not like tricking them into a relationship, because that's probably not going to work out in your favor in the long run. Sagittarius are just very independent people. They like doing their own thing. They have their own opinions. They're not really like influenced by what everyone else is doing. They don't really care. So they can be combative. They can be hard to date, because they're never going to sacrifice themselves really for other people, unless they're really, really in love, which can happen. But they just kind of do their own thing, and you really just have to understand them in a way that's like, give them their freedom. You know, if you try to restrict their freedom, it might work for a little while, but eventually it's gonna backlash and it's not gonna work. So you just have to be someone that's really open-minded and open to allowing someone breathing room if you want to be with a Sag. And if a Sag is looking for love, you know, just be more open to commitment and open to what other people want, and not be selfish, because Sagittarius can be a little selfish when they're pursuing love and relationships. So, you know, just try to be compassionate and see things from the other person's point of view, as well as your own sometimes. And that's all I have for the questions. Thank you guys so much for asking me. If you have any more questions, you know, reach out to me, and you can order a chart from me at my website, capaquarius.com, or whatever. I have tons of different types of readings, video readings, etc. So let me know, and I love you guys.